Great to be catching up again with Andrew Partridge from Michell Wool. Andrew, how are you going today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. For the grand final, Cats supporter, nothing could be better.
I'll bet you're happy. I reckon the Cats will win pretty easily as well, for what it's worth. But onto the wool markets, and you might be feeling all right about the Cats, but I tell you what, the market, it is not very happy at the moment.
Yes, mate. We're coming into the spring, but unfortunately the market's got a cold.
When you look across the categories, has some got worse cold than others across the different microns?
Yeah, the final wools, as we've been alluding to, they've been coming off and they've sort of dropping through the support levels now as we talk about this US price. So even though the growers get paid in Aussie cents, the US price does factor. We've got a low dollar, but with the COVID situation in China, it just keeps snowballing, and the finies have been coming off at a rate of knots, and now it looks like those medium microns, the 20, 21, 22s, have been pretty resilient, but looks like they could be a bit more downside in store for them as well.
So, yeah, I guess as we look at the cycle of grief, we come to acceptance now, and we realise, well, the market is going to slide. You've been warning on this front for some time due to, I guess, broader global doldrums economically. Is there some area where there's a light of hope for one certain category?
Not particularly, unfortunately. So with the best positive I can come out of today, Ricky, is it's a bit of a timing thing. There's a bit of talk around November. There'll be a bit more support coming into the market. Like you say, overseas now have realised that there is a bit of a downtrend. We've got stock selling going on in mills overseas, so they have to get on the right side of the market. So anyone who's carrying a bit of stock now is selling it at a discounted price. So we've got this feeding sort of frenzy going on at the moment. There's not a lot of stock in the system. We've heard over in China, there's not a huge amount of stock, but there's stock nonetheless. So we get into this bit of a pattern now where everyone has to rewrite themselves. So we're going to have a couple of weeks at least of this. And the Northern Hemisphere, winter obviously feeds a bit of demand normally. We've missed that now with the COVID situation in China. So it's going to be a late improvement.
Yeah, look, we had some commentary from one of the ratings agencies about the Chinese economy in general, and it looks like it's going to go on the go slow, which still for China is a 3% annual growth rate, but nonetheless, it does look like we're going to suffer, maybe even globally, a bit of those doldrums of a lack of purchasing activity around the globe.
It does, doesn't it? It's quite interesting when you talk about that 3%, isn't it? The westernised world, what we do barely, not even barely half that. Yet we've got an economy as big as China doing 3%, and they think it's a bad thing. But you remember back a couple of years ago, they were doing 7% and 10%, and that, no wonder price of goods going into that country was so high back in that time. And now it's getting back to relatively normal. That economy's changing, and we're going to have to put up with 3% growth in China now, and moderate sort of prices.
Yeah, absolutely, and all the adjustments will be required. But when it comes to adjusting how much is being put up on offer, it does look like those that are selling in Australia on the wool front are sort of normalising back to regular levels in terms of how much is put up each week.
I keep reckoning you'd be good joining in the wool industry, Ricky. You're on the money again. Yeah, the offering's back to 30,000, so that's a good thing. That's a positive. We haven't got 40s and 50s. Growers, a bit of rain, I think, happening in New South Wales is stalling sort of shearing over there, and 30,000 next week is a small offering. So hopefully the passing rates are relatively high, and we don't have to just sell for the sake of selling into this market, and growers can maybe hang on to a bit.
Well, I guess nothing rains on a selling party like poor pricing, so maybe we will see people just hang on for a bit until the market turns around, hopefully somehow. I'm not sure where, but maybe it'll overcome this cold in a couple of weeks.
It could do, yeah. Look, cartings are going well. Crossbreds there's a bit of crossbred being sold at the lower level, so it's just those medium merinos probably going to bear a bit of a brunt next week.
All right, we'll see how your predictions go next week. Andrew, thanks very much for joining us today here on Flow.
Cheers.